I'm Joel Dyer, and I'm not a professional videographer or director or producer. I don't have any formal education, apprenticeship, or training. And in the last 3 years, I've made videos that have reached over 4 million people around this world, from here in Grand Junction to half a world away. In the last 7 years, I've got to work on conservation issues in the Amazon, with displaced people in Central Asia, with migrants in the South Pacific, and with storytellers around the battle for the soul of our public lands here in Colorado. Now, I love a good story as much as anybody else, and I get as excited for a chance to change the world for a worthy cause as anybody else. But as I was preparing for this presentation, something occurred to me, and I think it's something that we should all reflect on. So I need everybody to do me a favor. I need everyone to raise one of your hands. Everyone here raise a hand. And then this woman right here in the center with the blue shawl, would you raise your hand really high? Please stand up. Everyone else, you can take your hand down. So if each one of you represents about 200 generations in the history of Homo sapiens, this woman right here represents the only folks in our time on this planet that have had any chance of telling their story with people beyond their immediate family and their tribal network. Thank you very much. And we, the living today, within the span of that history, are so incredibly lucky. Part of what has motivated me in my work with film is knowing that for the first time in that history, I can sit down behind a webcam, behind a cell phone, and say something to the other 3 billion people in this planet that are now connected to the internet. It was only 7,000 years ago that anyone had access to writing. If you were in Asia, you had to wait another 3,500 years. As late as 1950, only 1 in 2 people on this planet could read or write. And writing was far from a democratic solution. Most of the time, it was used for control and oppression as much as it was for liberation or the freedom of the individual. It is only in these last 10 years that the average person has had that opportunity to get behind that cell phone and tell a story that can change the world. And so, as we hear from 3 other local filmmakers, 3 other local videographers, creative content producers, people that work to elevate and share the stories of others for social good here in our valley and beyond, I want you to reflect on opportunities in your own life. What stories do you have to tell? What causes are you passionate about? And how can you do your own little part to honor your moment in history, your privilege of being among that 0.0001% of the human species on this planet that's had the chance to do so? Thank you.
Welcome to Compton, California.
My snake, does anyone see my snake?
A mutated snake.
There's a snake terrorizing Compton!
You gotta help me capture it so I can run more tests.
We catch this snake, and I'll be famous. We talking about the cover of Time magazine, maybe even YouTube.
Been I'm flowing for days, rose to the touch, ice flooding my veins. West is the style we claim. 1989, yeah, the snake, the cold blood. I be sliding through your city life. Sliding through your city life. Yeah.
Stick your shrimpy little girl hands down the drain and just pull the snake out.
Oh, God. I lost my watch.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Hello. Oh, we're on. We're up. What the heck was that? That was the new Citizen Kane. My name's Hank, and this is my partner in crime, Arielle. We're both Colorado natives, and we're also B-movie filmmakers, and we adoringly embrace that title. I actually grew up, this has nothing to do with it, these are just pictures of us making movies. I grew up right here in Grand Junction, born and raised. I went to Fruita Monument High School. I started making movies when I was 10 or 12, and by the time I got to high school, I graduated to VHS. And as I was graduating high school, I looked around Junction, and no offense, in the late 90s, there weren't a lot of film opportunities here in town. So when the Army recruiter called and was like, "What are you doing with the rest of your life?" I was like, "I'm joining the Army." So off to the Army I went, and it wasn't long after being in the Army that the love of filmmaking returned, and I started making movies for my unit, you know, starring fellow soldiers, cheesy stuff like that. And like, they really loved it. Like, it really brought everyone together, especially when we were overseas and we felt really isolated as it was. And eventually, you know, the high command, they took notice of what I was doing, and they said, "Okay, you're the filmmaker from now on." And so for the last year and a half I was in the Army, I just made movies for the military, and we just made fun stuff. And as my honorable discharge came up and I got out, I was like, well, geez, I guess I could make a living at this. I never thought of it that way. And so I went to film school in Denver, and that's where I met some of the friends I'd keep forever, including my very best friend. And with Arielle's help, we made a feature-length fan film called Return of the Ghostbusters. And that took us to Los Angeles, where we worked for over a decade.
And when we first got to Los Angeles, I was approaching film from a performance standpoint as an actor. But I was really frustrated at only getting the cry and die roles. And Hank was really frustrated at not getting a chance to direct. So we decided to make this micro-budget film. It
was like, the budget of that first film we made was probably less than the price of a used car.
Yeah, we shot on DSLRs, one location. It was a horror film called Chemical Peel. And we sold Chemical Peel to Lionsgate, which was great. I mean, huge accomplishment. But the best thing to come out of it was the realization that we can create the projects we want to make. And I felt a similar level of empowerment when I began working at Los Angeles Unified School District. I was tasked with showcasing the phenomenal arts education that was going on in the district. So I began creating a series of short-form documentaries that would not only create a sense of community buy-in and secure funding for our programs, but it would also be able to highlight the wonderful work going on. And I tell you what, telling the stories of these kids and teachers and community arts partners, it made me rediscover my love of storytelling.
We actually did a lot of the things that we always hoped to do. You know, we've been nominated for Emmys, we've won a couple Clios, you know, things like that. And we've brushed elbows with A-listers at fancy restaurants in LA. And I directed a couple feature films, well, 3 actually. Snake Out of Compton was my 3rd, including one that had Academy Award nominated actors in it. And we just started looking around it and we're like, is this it? Like, is the pursuit of Sundance and an Academy Award what we really moved out here for?
Right.
And those other movies that I'd mentioned, I kind of made for other people. And it wasn't until we made Snake Out of Compton that I kind of rediscovered my love of cheesy movies, and we found our heart again. And we thought, well, we're making these types of movies. Where's our heart? And that's when we looked back to Colorado. And Grand Junction is really at a renaissance right now for film and other art, and that's something that we're kind of hoping to come back and help impact. There's actually a couple college film programs here, which I never thought I would see that as a kid. And so there's a lot of talent here. You guys are here. You guys can do this. You know, if you're in 4th grade or you're a senior citizen, you can start making movies on a cell phone or a DSLR. You know, you can get Adobe Premiere and you're good to go. And the industry is really decentralized right now.
And listen, guys, art saves lives, all right? And film can change the world. And we do. We need to foster our local communities. You don't need to be out in LA. We can create a film boom here with your help. But we definitely need to foster our educational opportunities from elementary, middle, and high so that it can feed into these wonderful college programs that are available. Part of being a creator is being a collaborator and a mentor. So It's up to us to enrich the next generation's opportunities so that they can enrich our lives and our community.
And you can move to LA or New York still.
Sure.
Just bring it back here at some point. Because you can actually make money right here in town doing this type of work. And now you're going to meet someone that does just that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Bowen, and I do a lot of things. I am the owner of Above Alpine Photography here in town. Have you guys heard of that? I have made music for 15 years, published 9 albums. I've dinked around in philosophy, recently became a BA mentor for the Global Center for Advanced Studies. And it all starting to sound kind of cool, right? Like titles, achievements, hooray. But it's been really hard on me. And I think for a lot of people that have a wide range of interests, or they're just kind of surveying the landscape of the workforce, noticing it's changing, it's kind of hard for them too. Reason being, we're in a weird transitional period right now where episodic careers are becoming a thing, right? You're young, you're told, what are you going to be when you grow up, little Johnny? I would like to be a lawyer, a doctor, something safe, right? And the idea is you put in the time, you grind away at it, you stay devoted. Eventually, one day you grow old, you retire, and then everything's fine, right? That sounds good. Sounds like a safe path. But it's not just opinion anymore. Research is now suggesting this might not be such a good idea. You've got robots, right? Automation. There are jobs that exist today that aren't going to exist 5, 10 years from now. There might just be this loathing deep in your soul that says, one thing for the rest of my life? No. I can't do that. There might be this worry that you have about you're not sure if what you're doing is going to be useful or if you don't find value in it. Whatever it is, right? We're having more and more people concerned with what are they going to do to future-proof their career values and what it is going to mean to maintain that aspect of being useful come down the road, right? Like when things start to change, we worry. But I'm going to actually explain that it's gotten a little better. I'm going to show you a little video that I made for my wife and I's business here in town, Barlosophy, and then I will explain why I shamelessly promoted it in front of you here today.
Inhale, strength, courage, confidence. Exhale, doubt, weakness, shame. You are strong. You are made for great things. You are in control of your body, mind, life.
All right, so this is cool because I got to make 100% of that production, right? I got to film it, I got to edit it, the conceptualization. Come to find out that 15 years I thought I might have been wasting dinking around with music gave me the ability to have a strong audio presence here. We wanted to create a message that got people inspired to be healthy, that got them encouraged to go get fit. That's what we love, right? It's something that fills our cup. And my wife literally lives and breathes this every day. This is what she loves to do. I get to enhance it by bringing in my skill set to have the marketing and media side handled. Ultimately, to get people happy, healthy, right? Fit. This is what we want to do. We love it. And that is nice. That's like ideal. Are you doing what you love? We go, what do we want to do when we grow up? Nowadays, we're starting to say things like, I would like to do what I love. I think that would be fantastic. But that's not enough, right? You can't just say, well, I love it, and I can also afford to pay for my car, and I can afford to feed myself more than ramen noodles. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to have to find a way to stay able to do what you love, right? To keep affording it. So I thought about it like, I wonder if what I do have is valuable. What is the actual monetary value of it? So for that production that I just showed you, that commercial, on average, you're and this is for like where we're at, where we're competing at our level. You're looking at $2,500 to $10,000 for a 30 to 60 second spot. It's kind of a lot. And I was also like, all right. So then I thought, well, how many times do we need to do this? Data shows for kind of an entry-level business, if you want to be relevant and can compete in fitness, you want to be producing something like this minimum once a month. Okay, well, if it's $2,500 on the bottom end, that means annually I'm saving us 30 grand a year. That's substantial, right? Like, all right, if you're just starting out a business, you probably don't have 30 grand to spend. But if you have a skill set that is worth that, you are going to be you're going to look like you have that, like you're established. Wow. Plus, when you do start to grow, your skill set grows in value too, right? When we start to compete with people that are in the tier of, well, I don't know, a franchise, you're going to be looking at that $10,000 mark. That means my skill set has grown from being worth $30,000 a year to $120,000 a year. Now I feel a lot better about throughout my life, right? Like, okay, maybe some of those weird circles I took were actually valuable. So I can't tell you guys like how many times I thought, am I wasting my time with music? Am I wasting my time in photography, videography? Who needs a philosopher, right? They just like ruin dinner parties. But really, it's the ability to have critical thought, right? The ability to problem solve, the ability to do more than one thing that's going to give you a future-proofed path or paths. We don't want to be stuck with one thing anymore, whether it's a personal reason or it's like you just don't know how you'll be future-proofing. Say like UPS is a good example. You go to a giant warehouse, there's like 4 actual people in there, but there's thousands of packages going through there every day. And if you want, right, to be better at more than one thing, and this is the first time in our life we really can do this. So I want to be the guy to encourage you if you're interested in more than one thing or just unsure. Find where you're most passionate, where you experience the most joy, and direct your creativity there. Passion and joy, that's what's going to push you to, when it's hard, right? Money isn't always the operator, the thing that gets you to go all the way. But when you're passionate and you experience joy, you will continue to push for the things that you want in life. You can figure it out. So, be good at more than one thing. It will help you have a better time going through your careers, and it'll help you get to where you would like to get to in life. So, that is our presentation, guys.